Hi again, welcome to Axon's latest podcast with me, Rob Burrell, and
Tim Mears.
So Tim, today we're going to talk about data or big data. I guess the evolution, why we need it, and how we maybe secure it, back it up. So what is big data?
Big data. So everyone's been talking about big data for a while now, haven't they? Yeah. And if you actually look at, let's look at the stats of actually the data that this world is producing now because of cloud and everything's connected to the internet. I've got a smart kettle, which is, I can tell how many times it's gone on in a day. Why I'd ever use that data, I haven't got a clue. But if you look at it, over the next couple of years, I think it's predicted that the world will be producing something like 180 zettabytes, which is just phenomenal. If you actually look at the graphs of the data that's being produced and then the actual explosion in the last 5-10 years, it's remarkable, and that's only going to continue. Everything is connected to the internet and is producing data. So I think that's what it is, but I suppose it's what you can do with that data. I've seen many quotes that the data is the new oil.
Right.
That's where the value is in any business. But it's how you actually leverage this immense amount of data that's being produced on a daily basis and how you use it.
Yeah. So you talk about everything being connected, and we know about the Internet of Things. And the devices that are all connected, be them in the sort of personal home life or of course in the business world. So why is big data important then? Well,
if you actually look at the data that's being produced, it can give an SMB, enterprise has been looking at the big data model for many years now, but it can give you invaluable insights in your business. We're all used to profit and loss accounts. It's data. However, now because of everything that's connected, cloud, and you take CRM's producing data, everybody is producing data within your business, is how you actually understand that and leverage that. Now, it's quite a difficult thing to do because there is such an amount of data. It's like, where do you start? How do you do this? And people try and do it with an Excel spreadsheet, which, don't get me wrong, is a great product. But with the amount of data that you've got in your business, how do you actually start doing it? So it's really now, why it's coming to the fore is that there's many products out there that will help businesses understand the data. Yeah. They can crunch numbers, etc. And once you get that data, and then you can start producing meaningful insights. And, if I'm honest, we're an SMB, just like, our customers. A lot of the time, SMEs are run on gut feelings. They make decisions on, they feel that's the right thing to do, but it's not actually backed up with any data. Yeah. Now, suddenly, if you can understand all this data that's being produced by your business, and you can understand it and report on it, suddenly then you've got access to making business decisions on data, being data-driven decisions, not gut or emotional decisions. Yeah. And that's a game changer. That is a game changer for businesses and SMBs. Yeah. So big data is a big subject, and it's an important subject, and one that people need to start starting to look at and have an actual strategy or a data strategy in place.
Yeah. Okay. So you touched on there how businesses or SMBs can use big data. I know that we use Microsoft Power BI in terms of analysing, reporting on our data. Yeah. I've seen how useful it is, of course, in the sales side of the business, in reporting and outputs, etc. So can you sort of touch on how SMBs might use?
Yeah. So Power BI is a phenomenal tool that many people probably don't know about, that's within the Microsoft stack, and it's the easiest way to describe it is a visualization platform for data. It will allow you to plug in all your data, and it can connect to multiple sources. So it can connect to websites, it can connect to Excel spreadsheets, it can connect to online cloud services, so I can directly connect into Microsoft Dynamics. You know, you can connect into other online sources outside the Microsoft arena, sort of, you know, your Salesforces, your Oracles, your Xeros, your Sages, etc., etc. And what it will do is actually consolidate all your data to one place, and then you can actually produce visualizations, and it will crunch that data for you. So it's sort of doing all the hard work of going through your data. And there's AI, of course, AI is built into these products. So it will actually give you, the AI will actually go through, understand the data, learn the data, and give you actually outputs from it without doing anything. So yeah, I go back to my previous point. There's so much data being produced by businesses now. It actually gives Power BI, you know, we use it. It's changed our business, I have to say, because now it gives us that one pane of glass that I can consolidate data, you know, numerous data sources, and actually correlate it between each other. So now we can start really looking at making decisions based on data. Okay. You know, and this could be, Power BI, you can automatically refresh it. You can automatically refresh it on an hourly basis. So you can go, depending on what license you got, to an hourly basis. So you can have real-time information. And this can be produced or integrated into Teams, for example.
Yeah.
So suddenly the whole team has got access to this data and can start making decisions on live data.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'd say this, many SMBs will relate to this, is we all pay our accountants to do management accounts. Well, the management accounts are usually produced 2 months after the end of the, you know, the period they're doing it. Well, it's just looking in the rear mirror, you know, what can you do then? Whereas if you can actually leverage the power of your data on a day by day, live time basis, you can really react to what you need to do. Yeah. So I'm very passionate about data, as I say, because I see the effect and what it's had on our business. So you can actually, I go back to, you know, how often do we have a conversation going, oh, they're a really good customer. What's that based on? Is it based on gut feeling, or do we like them, etc., etc.? Yeah. But actually now you can actually underline how many products do they buy from you, etc. How often do they interact, etc., etc. And it's just a phenomenal. As you say, I'm very passionate about data.
Yeah, I mean, I think just to expand on that, it helps us to be able to recommend new technologies to customers that maybe we haven't talked to them about certain things.
Well, it's really it's the trend spotting as well, because by utilising the data, let's take for example, you know, we're an IT business, we run a support desk, we can actually see in lifetime trends on individual people within our accounts that maybe actually have an issue with a certain product or with a platform, and it's a reoccurring one. Then we can actually start seeing trends of reoccurring issues that are happening that we can actually try and resolve before they escalate. So these are the sort of thing that data really gives you an amazing insight into.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that's really interesting. And I guess with the massive growth in data, you've got to be more interested on actually backing up that data and the security around that data.
Yeah, it's the data. I go back to that point that I made, that data is the new oil. It really is the lifeblood of a business. So people have a misconception, I suppose, around, especially in the Microsoft stack, that the data is backed up. You know, you have to put in place a data retention policy. You know, when are you gonna, what happens if you have an issue with that data, etc., etc. So it's imperative that data is backed up. It's imperative that you've got access to it, because I always ask that question of an SMB owner: is what would happen if you didn't have access to that data?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
It would cause a lot of disruption to a lot of businesses. So unfortunately, you need to make sure that that data is backed up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you say, the data is in a Microsoft data center or whichever data center, depending on how you're working. But of course, it's not the conversation I'm having with customers now, and this has escalated over the past 2 years, like a lot of things, is it's not so much what is backup or how important is backup. It's actually what would happen if you were subject of a ransomware attack. Yeah. How would you get access to that data? And that's why the backup of all data, including that that team's information, etc., is more important than ever. It
really is. And I think one thing we haven't mentioned in this whole data conversation is around the other products and services like Power Automate. Power Automate can build. And people who don't know what Power Automate is, it's really a codeless. It's quite hard to explain Power Automate, but it enables us to automate and use AI in order that we can crunch that data. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so again, I don't want to harp on, but with the amount of data that is being produced, it's very hard for an individual to actually understand that data and plough through that data. So with the use of platforms like the Power Automate and the Power BI, that will enable the power of the cloud to compute that data and actually churn out meaningful insights into that data with limited experience, if I'm honest. Once you utilise the power of that, you can turn out really powerful insights very quickly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, it's a really interesting subject. It's something that we're passionate about, like you've said.
It's one that's not going away. Going back to the stats, data will continue to increase, and I think the businesses that will gain an advantage are the ones who are leveraging that data and getting meaningful insights and making decisions on data as opposed to gut feelings. Yeah. And I think now, this historically has probably been limited to enterprise customers, but now with Power BI and Power Automate, it's now really opened up this opportunity for the SMB market, and I think the SMBs need to really understand it and embrace this, because it will give them a differentiator in their markets.
Definitely. I mean, some of the things we've talked about. Certain versions of Power BI, they're available now in the Microsoft license that a lot of our customers have already got and they're paying for. So
yeah, and going back, is it available to SME? Of course it is. They are, and a Power BI license cost per month is it's under £10.
It is, yeah.
But the power that can give for less than 2 coffees a month, yeah, it's bonkers, really.
Okay. Great subject. I'm sure we could talk more about it. Maybe we'll in a future podcast. But yeah, great. Thanks very much. Thanks, Tim.
Good.
See you on the next one.